Well, I met him in his office at Robinson Gymnasium at the University of Kansas in 1933 when I was in my first attempt to enroll at the University of Kansas.
My grandfather had a reputation for being colorblind. He didn't see color. And in the 30s, almost everybody saw color.
Well, I think Naismith's progressive attitudes toward race were probably a combination of his profound faith and probably his Canadian upbringing. Obviously, Canada didn't have the baggage of race relations that the U.S. did. And he didn't think twice about expressing his views. The way he intervened to reach out to John McLendon, who essentially wound up on his doorstep.
His father brought him to Kansas University during the height of the racial element in this country, knowing full well that he would not be able to play basketball at Kansas. But his father had a better idea of where he wanted his son to go in his life.
John McLendon was a young man from Kansas City who, from the first time he saw a basketball game, he wanted to be a basketball coach. His father said, "I'll get a second job and put you through college so you can be a basketball coach. But with the understanding you have to go to the University of Kansas." Because Dr. Naismith, who invented the game of basketball, he wrote the rules as a professor there. So you can learn from the man that wrote the rules of the game.
The intuition of McLendon's own father was that this is a man, James Naismith, you should look up because he'll give you a fair shake.
That's a father's instinct. How did he know that? There was no advertisement about it, but from a distance, he could see that Dr. Naismith was a man of conviction. He was a good man. He was a man that respected people, and therefore he dropped off his son and just left him there because Dr. Naismith at that point had not met the father.
I found Robinson Gymnasium, walked in, found his office, and he was sitting there behind his desk. And I walked in and he asked me what he could do for me.
1933, my grandfather's 72 years old. He's sitting in his chair, first day of classes. He looks up and there's a young black kid, 18 years old, standing in the door. He said, "You're supposed to look after me." And Dr. Naismith kind of chuckled. He said, "Well, who are you?" He said, "I'm John McLendon from Kansas City."
And my daddy said to look you up because he said that you don't see color, that you would treat me right and take me under your wing.
And he said, "Do I know your dad?" And John said, "No." He said, "But my dad said you're colorblind."
He said, "Well, come on in. Father's always right." So that was my introduction to him. This was in the fall of 1933, as I said, and I was just beginning my new adventure at the University of Kansas.
Sure enough, Naismith became an angel on John McLendon's shoulder.
Coach McLendon did talk about Dr. Naismith being someone who did not have a color perspective of people. He saw people for who they are and what they were about.
Kansas is right there on the frontier of racial problems. And John McLendon wasn't the only black student on campus, but he certainly was in a minority. And, you know, he ran into problems on campus trying to use the swimming pool.
Part of my granddad's rules were, and my granddad comes from strange rules. If you were getting a degree of any kind in the athletic department, which he was the head of, you had to be able to swim. Well, John was a good swimmer, which my granddad didn't know because he was a lifeguard at the Black Pool in Kansas City. So John went swimming the next day, and when he got out of the pool, he went to the showers, he came back, got dressed. The maintenance guy's draining the swimming pool. That's a big chore. And John said, "Are you draining the swimming pool because it's Wednesday, or are you draining the swimming pool because I swam in it?" And the maintenance man said, "Use your own judgment."
McLendon was put in a situation where he would have to come back again and again, and he would tell them, he said, "You can drain it, but I'm going to be back every time to swim in it."
And they were willing to give me an A for not swimming, which was not acceptable.
We went back to my grandfather. My grandfather's solution was very simple, as always. Next day, John went swimming. My grandfather put the two biggest football players on both sides of the pool, and there weren't any questions asked. There was no pool drain, was there? Then there was signs written all over the University of Kansas: "Don't swim with the N-word." John took the signs down, took them to my grandfather. My grandfather went to the chancellor of the school and the president and said, if I ever see another one of these signs, I'm going to resign and go to a different university. Now here's a man that had been in basketball, who'd been at that school at that point for over 40 years, who said, I'm going to leave and go to another school. So there was no more signs, was there?
Any further incidents or anything that of a personal nature like that, he included in his advisory attitude. So I knew I had somebody in my corner.
His first coaching job, Dr. Naismith was able to get that coaching job for Coach John McLendon. So he was there for him for all the right reasons.
Again, Dr. Naismith went to the principal and got him to accept me as the head coach. So I was a head coach of basketball at Lawrence Memorial High School. We won the Kansas Missouri Athletic Conference Championship. Dr. Naismith came to see a couple of the games and told me that he thought I had a good grasp of the game and I should concentrate on basketball as a sport that I'd follow.
A lot of people don't know this. Coach McLendon was the first black coach in professional basketball. He coached the Cleveland Pipers in the old ABL. John McLendon went on to be one of the disciples of Naismith.
Of course, McLendon goes on to become a legendary basketball coach, a member of the very Hall of Fame that bears the Naismith family name.
I chose the University of Kansas because Dr. Naismith was there.